The pounding in Nina's skull arrived before consciousness did. She swam upward through fog, every muscle protesting. Strange sensations bombarded her, crisp fabric too expensive to be hers, the sharp bite of sandalwood cologne mixed with cigarette smoke, and something firm and warm rising and falling beneath her cheek. A heartbeat, not hers. She cracked one eye open and immediately regretted existing. Sunlight blasted through floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul's skyline glittering outside like she'd woken up in a damn penthouse. Which, apparently, she had. The room screamed wealth. Minimalist black furniture, chrome accents, abstract art that probably cost more than her yearly salary. But that wasn't what made her breath catch. She was draped across a man's bare chest. Ink covered him like armor. A Korean dragon coiled up his right arm, disappearing beneath the sheets twisted around his waist. Hanja characters spread across his collarbones. A tiger prowled down his left forearm, so detailed she could see individual stripes. His hand, large and scarred at the knuckles, rested possessively on her waist, holding her against him even in sleep. "Oh, hell no," Nina whispered. She jerked upright too quickly, her box braids whipping around, gold cuffs catching the morning light. Her hands clutched expensive silk sheets to her chest. That's when she noticed. She was drowning in an oversized black Balenciaga t-shirt that definitely wasn't hers. Her sequined club dress from last night lay crumpled on a leather chair across the room. Her stomach dropped as her brain finally caught up. The tattoos. That face, sharp jaw, scar through his left eyebrow. She'd seen him before. In articles May showed her while gossiping about dangerous men to avoid in Seoul. Kong Min-jun, the Viper, the heir to Seoul's most notorious crime syndicate. "Oh my God," she breathed, panic clawing up her throat. "Oh my God, I'm dead. I'm so dead." A low chuckle rolled through the chest beneath her ear. "Sleep well, pretty girl?" Nina's head snapped up. He was awake, dark eyes open and fixed on her, glinting with amusement. His voice came out rough from sleep, his slight Korean accent wrapping around the English words like velvet over steel. Min-jun didn't move to release her. He just lay there, one arm still locked around her waist, watching her panic like it was the most entertaining thing he'd seen all week.
Her throat went bone dry.
"Did we?" She swallowed hard. "Did something happen? Please tell me we didn't." He laughed again, deeper this time, and sat up in one fluid motion. The sheets fell to his waist, revealing more ink, Hanja characters across his ribs, the tail of what looked like a phoenix curling around his side. He dragged long fingers through his messy black hair. "If you're drawing blanks, you were way more drunk than I thought." Nina's eyes stretched wide. "Oh my God. We really—" "Nothing happened." His smirk was infuriating. "Unless you count sobbing on my shoulder about your ex-fiancé, while declaring all men worthless, cheating dogs." That was quite the speech. She wanted the earth to open up and swallow her whole. She buried her face in both hands. "Please tell me you're lying." He leaned back against the headboard, looking entirely too comfortable. "Your confession was far more interesting." He tapped his bare chest where she'd been sleeping. "And you drooled right here. This costs more than your monthly rent. You're in debt, pretty girl." Despite her mortification, despite everything, Nina laughed. A short, shocked burst of sound that she immediately regretted because his smirk widened like he'd won something. She scrambled out of bed on shaky legs, nearly tripping over the sheets. "Okay, no. This never happened. You and me, we never happened. Understood?" "Crystal clear," he said, but his tone suggested the opposite. She snatched her sequin dress from the chair and wrestled back into it while he watched, unashamed, eyes tracking her every movement. Her fingers fumbled with the zipper. "Stop staring at me. Can't help it. You're wearing my favorite shirt." She looked down. She was still wearing his Balenciaga tee. "Oh, for the love of—" She ripped it off, threw it at his face, and yanked her dress on properly. "Shame," he murmured. "You looked better in it than I do." Nina grabbed her heels and clutch, her braids swinging as she spun toward the door. "Listen carefully, don't
"Come near me."
Again, She didn't wait for a response. Her heels clicked across marble floors as she fled. But his voice followed her, smooth as smoke. "Oh, Jagia, you'll definitely be seeing me again real soon." The door slammed behind her. Seoul's morning air hit her face. Cool, crisp, sobering. But it did nothing to extinguish the fire still burning under her skin, or the way her traitorous heart was racing. She pressed the elevator button 7 times. "Nina Morgan," she muttered to herself as the doors opened. "What the hell have you gotten yourself into?" Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Mina Korean Stories. If you're new here, go ahead and smash that subscribe button because we bring you the most captivating romance stories where danger meets desire. Today's story is about what happens when a woman with nothing to lose crashes into the life of Seoul's most dangerous heir. So hit that like button, turn on those notifications, and let's dive right in. Nina Morgan had come to Seoul to outrun her past. 6 months ago, she'd fled Brooklyn with a broken heart and a one-way ticket, leaving behind Marcus, her cheating ex-fiancé, Keisha, her backstabbing ex-best friend, and a cancelled wedding that had cost her life savings. Seoul seemed far enough. Another continent, another language, another life. She'd landed a job as a social media manager for a small K-pop entertainment company in Gangnam. The pay was decent, the work kept her busy, and if she worked 60-hour weeks, she didn't have time to think about how lonely she was. Her tiny rooftop studio in Hongdae was barely big enough for a bed and a desk, but it was hers. Every paycheck, she sent half home to her mom in Brooklyn and survived on convenience store kimbap for the rest of the month. Her Korean was conversational at best. She could order food, ask for directions, and understand about 60% of what her coworkers said. The Papago translation app was her best friend. Making actual human friends? That was harder. Seoul had millions of people, but Nina had never felt more alone. So on weekends, she went to clubs. She danced until her feet hurt, laughed too loud at jokes she didn't fully understand, and pretended she wasn't running from anything. Her coworker May, a Korean Chinese woman with more energy than sense, usually dragged her out. "You're too fine to be sitting home alone," May would say. "Come on, girl. Live a little." Nina loved her curves, her thick thighs, her full hips, the way she filled out a dress. That wasn't the problem. The problem was her heart. She'd locked it up tight after Marcus, threw away the key, and swore she'd never be stupid enough to trust a man again. Love was a scam. Men were users. And Nina Morgan was nobody's fool. At least, that's what she told herself. Kang Min-jun didn't believe in love. At 28, he'd seen enough of the world to know better. Love was a transaction: money, power, sex, loyalty. People didn't stay because they wanted to. They stayed because they needed something. He'd learned that at 16 when his mother was killed in a drive-by meant for his father. Caught in the crossfire. Innocent.
Dead.
His father, Kang Dae-young, had grieved for exactly 1 week, then returned to business colder than before. "Emotion is weakness," his father had said. "The viper doesn't feel. He strikes." So Min-jun became the viper. He took over South Seoul's nightlife by 21, 5 clubs, 3 high-end restaurants, underground gambling halls, and smuggling operations through Incheon port. He wore designer streetwear that cost more than most people's cars. He drove a matte black Lamborghini. He lived in a penthouse in Cheongdam-dong with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked a city he controlled. And he felt nothing. Women came and went, beautiful, eager, interchangeable. They wanted his money, his status, the thrill of danger. He gave them expensive dinners and designer bags, and they gave him their bodies. It was a transaction.
Clean.
Simple. Emotionless. His tattoos told the story he never spoke aloud. The dragon for power, the tiger for strength, the phoenix for rising from ashes. The Hanja characters across his chest read loyalty, family, death, the 3 pillars of his existence. He took pills to sleep because nightmares still came. His mother's face. The blood. His father's cold eyes. The only person who saw past the viper was his younger sister, Soo-jin. She was 24 in college, and he'd shielded her from the business entirely. To her, He was just Appa, the protective older brother who paid for her apartment and scared away bad boyfriends. His father wanted him to marry a suitable Korean woman from a powerful family, expand the empire, produce heirs. Minjun didn't care enough to argue or comply. Until the night he saw her. A curvy black woman with gold-cuffed braids, dancing like she was trying to shake off the world. Her laughter cut through club noise, bright and sharp. And when some drunk asshole grabbed her, when she shoved him back with fire in her eyes, something in Minjun's chest cracked. He'd intervened without thinking. She'd cried on his shoulder, called him her random Korean Superman, and passed out in his car before he could ask her name. He'd taken her home, to his home, because letting her go felt wrong. And when she woke up in his bed, looked at him with those furious, terrified, gorgeous eyes and told him to stay away. Minjun smiled, because for the first time in 12 years he felt something. And he wasn't letting it go. She told herself it was a mistake. One night she'd forget. He told himself she was a problem he'd solve. Neither of them knew that fate had other plans. Their story was just beginning. And Seoul was about to learn that when the viper falls, he falls completely. Act 2, The Pursuit. Monday morning hit Nina like a truck. She sat at her desk in the company's Gangnam office, surrounded by K-pop posters and the chatter of co-workers half her age, staring at Instagram analytics that might as well have been hieroglyphics. She'd read the same caption performance report 3 times and absorbed nothing. Her phone sat face up beside her keyboard. She'd checked it 17 times since arriving. For what? A message from him? She didn't even have his number. And she didn't want him to contact her. Right? Girl. Nina jumped. May rolled over in her desk chair, eyebrows raised, bubble tea in hand. Her short black bob was freshly dyed purple at the tips. You've been weird since Saturday night, May said in Korean, then switched to English.
Spill.
What happened? Nothing happened. Nina forced her eyes back to her screen. I just had too much soju. You disappeared from Octagon. I looked everywhere. I was literally about to call the police. I went home early. Alone. End of story. The lie tasted bitter. May narrowed her eyes, but let it go, rolling back to her own desk. Nina released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. By lunchtime, she was ready to escape. She grabbed her phone and wallet, told May she was getting coffee, and practically ran to Fritz, the small cafe near the office that made the best iced Americanos in Gangnam. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows as she collapsed into a seat, finally able to breathe. She ordered her usual, grabbed a table by the window, and pulled out her phone. A text from May popped up. Did you see the guy in the lobby asking for you? Nina's stomach dropped. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What guy? But before she could hit send, the bell above the cafe door chimed. She looked up, and her world tilted sideways. Kang Minjun walked in like he owned the place, which, for all she knew, he probably did. He wore a black Balenciaga hoodie, distressed jeans that probably cost a month's rent, and a platinum chain that caught the light. His forearms were bare, tattoos on full display. The dragon, the tiger, geometric patterns that drew every eye in the room. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the cafe like wind through leaves. Isn't that? Oh my God, that's Kang Minjun. What's he doing here? He ignored all of it. His dark eyes scanned the room with predatory focus until they landed on her. Nina's heart stopped. He walked straight toward her table, hands in his pockets, moving with that lethal grace that made her stomach flip. He didn't ask permission. He just pulled out the chair across from her and sat down, folding his arms on the table, that infuriating smirk already playing at his lips. Miss me, pretty girl? Her mouth went dry. How did you find you? He tilted his head. I own the building your company leases. Want to guess who approved your work visa? Her jaw dropped. You what? No. No. Yes. His smirk widened. Surprised? I told you to stay away from me. You did, he agreed pleasantly. I didn't listen. Are you stalking me? Nina hissed, very aware that everyone in the cafe was watching them. This is creepy. This is actually illegal. Min-jun looked unbothered, leaning back in his chair like he had all the time in the world. Technically, it's strategic resource allocation. That's literally the same thing. Is it? His eyebrow raised slightly, the one with the scar through it. I prefer to think of it as efficient networking. Nina wanted to throw her iced Americano at his infuriatingly handsome face. I Googled you. I know who you are. What you do. And yet, he gestured casually around the table. You're still sitting here. Because you won't leave. You could walk away. He nodded toward the door, his expression maddeningly calm. But you're not. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Because he was right. Why wasn't she leaving? Her legs worked fine. The door was right there. You're dangerous, she said instead, hating how weak it sounded. I can't. I don't need complications. Something shifted in his expression. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, and his voice dropped low enough that only she could hear. You want to know why I'm here, Jagia? Don't call me that, she muttered, but her heart was already racing. Saturday night, you looked at me like I was just a man. His dark eyes held hers, serious now, the smirk gone. Not a name, not a reputation, not something to fear or use. Just someone. Her breath caught. You cried on my shoulder, he continued softly, about being cheated on. About how you're tired of being an option instead of a choice. About how you came to Seoul to run away from a man who didn't deserve you. Nina's eyes stung. I was drunk. Drunk words are sober thoughts. His gaze didn't waver. You're lonely here, Nina. You work 60-hour weeks to avoid feeling it. You go to clubs to feel less alone, but you always leave emptier than when you arrived. How do you? Her voice cracked. Because I recognize it. Something raw flickered across his face. I see the same thing in my mirror every morning. Silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither of them knew how to say. Then Nina laughed, a brittle, defensive sound.
Wow.
Congratulations, Detective Kong. You want a medal or a cupcake for that analysis? His mouth twitched.
Cupcake.
Red velvet, if possible. Despite everything, the fear, the confusion, the warning bells clanging in her head, Nina laughed. A real laugh this time, surprised out of her. This is insane, she said, shaking her head. You know that, right? This whole whatever this is. Agreed. He stood, extending his hand across the table. His knuckles were scarred, silver rings glinting. Walk with me anyway. She stared at his hand like it might bite her. One walk, he said. Then I'll disappear if you want. Every instinct, she had screamed danger. This man was a crime lord. He probably had a body count. He was everything she should run from. But when she looked at his face, she didn't see the viper.
She saw someone lonely.
Someone who understood. Nina took his hand. They walked along Cheonggyecheon Stream, the famous waterway cutting through downtown Seoul. Tourists snapped photos at the bridges. Office workers ate kimbap on the stone walkways. The city hummed around them, oblivious. Min-jun bought hotteok from a street vendor, sweet Korean pancakes filled with brown sugar and cinnamon. He handed one to Nina, without asking if she wanted it. So the scary crime lord eats street food, she teased, biting into the hot, sugary bread. There goes your image. My image is secure. But he was smiling a real smile, not that calculated smirk. Besides, even vipers need to eat. She snorted. Did you just make a snake joke about yourself? Was it good? It was terrible. I'll work on it. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. Nina told him about Brooklyn, her mom's brownstone in Bed-Stuy, Sunday dinners with too much food, summers on Coney Island. He listened like every word mattered. When she asked about him, he was quieter. He mentioned his sister, Soo-jin. The pressure from his father to take over fully. The weight of a legacy he never asked for. Do you ever think about leaving? She asked. Just walking away from all of it? He was quiet for a long moment. Every day, he finally said, but men like me don't get to walk away. We get buried or we become the empire. That's depressing as hell. Welcome to my world, pretty girl. A crowd pushed past them, and his hand landed instinctively on her lower back, guiding her aside. The touch was brief, protective, and it sent electricity straight up her spine. When they reached the end of the stream path, he stopped. The sun was setting, painting Seoul in orange and pink. "I'll see you tomorrow, Nina." "I didn't agree to that," she said, but there was no heat in it. "You didn't disagree either." He walked backward a few steps, that grin back in place. "Same time, same place? You're impossible. I've been called worse." She watched him disappear into the crowd, Hadiak still warm in her hands, utterly confused about what she was feeling. Over the next week, Kang Min-jun became a constant. He appeared at her office building with lunch, expensive bento boxes she'd never tried. He showed up at Han River where she jogged in the mornings, just happening to be there. He materialized at the convenience store near her apartment at 2 a.m. when she couldn't sleep, buying ramen like it was the most normal thing in the world. Every time Nina protested, every time she ended up talking to him. He never pushed physically, no grabbing, no cornering. He just existed in her space.
Talked.
Listened. Made her laugh with dry observations about Seoul's criminal underworld that shouldn't have been funny but were. Her coworkers noticed. May practically vibrated with excitement. "Girl, is it true? Are you dating the Kang Min-jun?" "We are not dating," Nina insisted. But she started wearing the nice jeans more often. Started doing her makeup even on days she worked from home. Started checking her phone for texts, though he never texted first. Always just appeared in person like some tattooed ghost. Then one morning, a box arrived at her desk. Inside were custom Nike sneakers in her size, hand-designed. The left shoe had the Brooklyn skyline painted in gold and black. The right shoe had Seoul's skyline in silver and blue. Where they met at the heel, the two cities merged into one. A note was tucked inside, written in surprisingly neat English handwriting. For the woman caught between two worlds. "Maybe I can be your bridge. MJ." Nina's heart did something stupid in her chest. May squealed loud enough to make the entire office turn. "Girl.
He's courting you."
Like old-school, romantic, K-drama level courting. Nina held the shoes, torn between smiling and crying. She pulled out her phone and texted him for the first time. "Nina, these are too expensive." His response came immediately. "MJ, they're not expensive enough. Wear them." "Nina, this doesn't change anything." "MJ, it changes everything. See you tonight." "Nina, I didn't say you could see me tonight." "MJ, Jagia. I'll be at Han River at 8.
"Come if you want."
"I'll wait either way." She stared at her phone screen, then at the shoes. "Lord have mercy," she whispered. May grinned like the devil. "You're falling for him." "I'm not." "You so are." Nina looked at the shoes again. At the two cities merged into one. "I might be," she admitted quietly. And for the first time since Marcus, that didn't terrify her. It thrilled her. Friday afternoon, 2 weeks after they'd met. Nina was at her desk, working on a campaign proposal, when her boss called her into his office. Mr. Park sat behind his desk, looking like a man being held at gunpoint. His tie was loosened, and sweat beaded at his temples despite the aggressive air conditioning. "Nina, He cleared his throat. "We've had a situation." Her stomach sank. "What kind of situation?" "You're being reassigned. Effective immediately." The words hit like ice water.
"What? Why?"
"My performance reviews have been excellent. I just landed the Bluebell Media partnership. It's not about performance." He wouldn't meet her eyes. "It's orders from above." "Above you?" Her voice rose. "Mr. Park, I don't understand." "From building ownership." He looked genuinely pained. "You'll be managing social media and brand development for a new property. A nightclub in Gangnam called Ninth Circle." The room tilted. Ninth Circle. She knew that name. Everyone in Seoul knew that name. "I believe you." Mr. Park fidgeted with his pen. "You know the owner." Realization crashed over her like a tidal wave. Kang Min-jun did this. His silence was confirmation enough. "You start Monday," he continued quickly. "The pay is significantly higher, almost double your current salary. Your contract has been restructured, benefits upgraded. It's actually an excellent opportunity. Nina stood abruptly, chair scraping. I didn't agree to this. The building owner holds your work visa sponsorship. Mr. Park finally looked at her, apologetic. I'm sorry, Nina. It's already done. HR has the paperwork. She walked out without another word. That manipulative, controlling, tattooed. May chased after Nina as she stormed toward the elevators. Wait, what happened? What did Mr. Park say? He got me fired. Nina jabbed the elevator button 7 times. Well, not fired but reassigned. To his club. Like I'm a chess piece, he can just move around the board. Oh my God. May's eyes went wide. MJ did that? Who else? The elevator doors opened. Nina stepped in. I'm going to kill him. I'm actually going to commit murder. Nina, wait. The doors closed. 20 minutes later, Nina stood in front of a sleek high-rise in Cheongdam-dong, Seoul's wealthiest neighborhood. The building was all glass and steel, expensive cars lined up in front like soldiers. The doorman, a man built like a tank in a pristine suit, stepped forward. Miss, you can't. Kong Min-jun, penthouse.
Now.
Something flickered across his face. Recognition, maybe, or orders received long ago. He stepped aside. Elevator on the right. Penthouse access is automatic. Nina's hands shook as she rode up. Fury propelled her forward, but underneath it, something else churned. Hurt. Betrayal. And, God help her, a twisted flutter of something that felt dangerously close to being wanted. The elevator opened directly into his apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Seoul's skyline. Minimalist furniture in black and chrome. Abstract art that probably cost more than her student loans. Everything cold. Expensive. Empty. Min-jun stood at the windows, phone to his ear, back to her. He wore a white button-down, sleeves rolled up, tattoos on full display. His voice was low, speaking rapid Korean she couldn't follow. Then he saw her reflection in the glass. He ended the call mid-sentence. Nina. She marched straight up to him, heels clicking on marble. What did you do? He turned slowly, pocketing his phone. His expression was carefully neutral. I made arrangements. Arrangements? Her voice cracked. You manipulated my job. You got me reassigned like I'm your property. I gave you a better position. His tone was maddeningly calm. Better pay, better title, better. I didn't ask for that. She was yelling now, weeks of confusion and want and fear exploding outward. Who gave you the right to control my life? His jaw tightened, the first crack in his composure. You were wasting your talent managing Instagram posts for teenagers. You belong somewhere elevated. And let me guess, that somewhere is with you? His eyes flashed dark and dangerous. Yes. Her mouth fell open. I wanted you close, he continued, voice dropping into something raw. Watching you smile at drunk executives every weekend, watching men look at you like you're available, like you don't belong to. To who? She stepped into his space, jabbing a finger into his chest. I don't belong to anyone. I'm not a possession you get to move around on a whim. He caught her wrist, not hard, but firm enough to stop her. Then what are you? His thumb pressed against her pulse point. She knew he could feel her heartbeat racing. Because you've been in my head for 2 weeks straight, he said quietly, intensely. Every meeting, I'm thinking about whether you ate lunch. Every deal, I'm wondering if you're safe walking home. Every night, I'm imagining you in my bed, properly this time. Heat flooded her face. You can't just. I can and I did. His voice turned to steel. I don't apologize for wanting you safe. For wanting you near me. For wanting you, period. She jerked her wrist free, breathing hard. You're delusional. You can't just obliterate people's lives because your fragile ego can't handle. My ego. He laughed, dark and humorless. Jagia, if my ego was the problem, half of Seoul would be ashes by now. This isn't ego. This is obsession. Her heart hammered against her ribs. That's not healthy. That's not romantic. That's stalking with better funding. I never claimed to be healthy. He stepped closer. I'm a criminal. I take what I want. And I want you. As what? Bitterness dripped from her words. Your trophy? Your project? Your. As the only real thing in my life. The words hung in the air between them. Nina's anger wavered, walls cracking. Work for me, he said softly. Let me take care of you. Let me protect you. Let me. By me. She forced her voice steady. That's what this is. You think you can just buy me with designer shoes and job offers and your trauma-bonding confession speeches? Something in his expression cracked. No. Then what? He exhaled heavily, running both hands through his hair. For the first time, he looked small. Vulnerable. I think maybe you could save me. Silence. I don't need saving, she whispered. And I definitely don't need you. But even as she said it, she knew it was a lie. He must have known too, because he turned away, walking to the couch. He sat heavily, elbows on knees, head in hands. Everyone wants something from me, he said to the floor. My money, my power, my connections. Or they want me dead. He looked up at her. You're the first person in 12 years who wanted nothing, who looked at me like I was just human. Her throat constricted. So yes, I manipulated your job. He stood, walked past her toward the windows. I'm not sorry. Having you close is the only time I can breathe without feeling like I'm suffocating in this gold cage I've built. He stopped the glass, looking out at the city he controlled. If you want to leave, leave. I won't stop you. The job is yours regardless. Contracts are signed. Better pay, better title. You never have to see me if you don't want to. A pause. But I need you to know, I didn't do this to control you. I did it because the thought of losing you felt impossible. Nina stared at his back, broad shoulders, the phoenix tattoo visible through his thin white shirt, rising from flames. She hated how her anger was dissolving, hated how her heart was breaking for this dangerous, broken man. She turned toward the elevator. This doesn't make it okay, she said quietly. I know. You can't just rearrange people's lives. I know. I should walk away and never look back. You should. He didn't turn around. But you won't. She wanted to argue, wanted to scream that he was wrong. But she couldn't. I start Monday, she asked. Monday. 9 a.m. Ninth Circle. I'll have your office ready. She stepped into the elevator. Just before the doors closed, she spoke. Minjun. He turned, hope flickering in those dark eyes. This doesn't mean I'm yours. The doors closed on his small, sad smile. But they both knew she was lying. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Nina stood outside Ninth Circle in Gangnam, staring up at the sleek black building that screamed money and danger in equal measure. The club wouldn't open until evening, but the offices above operated during the day. Her new workplace. His territory. She wore the custom Nikes he'd given her. A small surrender she wasn't ready to examine too closely. Security recognized her immediately. A man in a black suit, built like he could snap her in half, nodded respectfully. Ms. Morgan. Private elevator is this way. No questions. No ID check.
Of course he'd told them she was coming.
The elevator took her to the third floor, opening into a modern office space that looked nothing like the K-pop company's chaotic energy. Everything here was sophisticated, expensive, deliberate. Black and chrome and glass. Like his penthouse. Like him. A young woman appeared immediately, bright smile and nervous energy. Ms. Morgan. I'm Ji-young, your assistant. Welcome to Ninth Circle. She spoke in rapid Korean, then switched to English. Sorry. Mr. Kong said you prefer English for business. He said that, did he?
Yes.
He's been very specific about your setup. Come, let me show you your office. Ji-young led her down a hallway, past several closed doors, to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Gangnam's glittering streets. Inside, everything was new. A MacBook Pro still in its box, the latest iPhone, business cards with her name and title embossed in silver. Nina Morgan, Director of Brand Strategy. Ninth Circle. On the desk sat a welcome gift, a sleek black notebook and a note in that familiar handwriting. Your bridge. Your rules.
Your world now, too.
MJ. Her chest tightened. Mr. Kong wanted everything perfect for you, Ji-young said, practically bouncing. He's never done this for anyone. It's so romantic. It's not. Nina started then stopped. What was the point? Can you give me a tour of the club? Of course. The club itself was stunning. Multiple levels, VIP sections with private booths, a main floor with a stage for performances, bars that looked like art installations. Everything high-end, luxurious, designed for Seoul's wealthy elite. But Nina noticed other things too. Security cameras everywhere. Exit routes clearly marked. Men in suits posted at strategic points, not staff, guards. The way certain doors required keycards. The reinforced glass in the VIP sections. This wasn't just a club. It was a fortress. Mr. Kang's office is on this floor too, Ji-young said, gesturing down a hallway. But he's not in today. He said to give you space to settle. Nina felt oddly disappointed and annoyed at herself for feeling disappointed. She spent the day familiarizing herself with the club's social media presence, which was actually impressive. Someone knew what they were doing. She drafted a strategy proposal, met with the marketing team, reviewed upcoming events. Professional. Normal. If you ignored the undercurrent of danger humming beneath everything. By evening, most staff had left. Nina stayed late, working on a campaign pitch at her desk. The office was quiet, just the hum of the city outside. Then she heard voices.
Raised.
Angry. Coming from down the hall. From Min-jun's office. She shouldn't investigate. She absolutely should not get involved. She stood up and walked toward the sound anyway. His office door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, she could see him behind a massive desk. A man knelt in front of him, bloodied and begging in Korean. She caught scattered words. Loyalty. Betrayal. Please. Teo stood to the side. She recognized him from photos May had shown her. Min-jun's second-in-command. Brutal-looking man with cold eyes. On the desk, stacks of cash wrapped in plastic. A gun resting casually near Min-jun's hand. Min-jun's voice was cold. Lethal. Nothing like the man who bought her hotdog and made terrible jokes. This is your last chance. The kneeling man sobbed. Nina gasped quietly, stumbling backward. But someone was there. Another man, younger, with glasses, tech guy energy. He grabbed her arm, pulled her away from the door. You shouldn't be here, he whispered urgently in accented English. Ji-hoon, she'd learn later. The tech specialist. He led her quickly to an empty lounge area, away from Min-jun's office. Nina's hands were shaking. What was that? What is he doing? Ji-hoon looked torn, like he was deciding how much to say. This is who he is. What did you think this place was? I thought, but she didn't know what she thought. There was a gun. That man was bleeding. You're in his world now. Ji-hoon's expression was sympathetic but firm. This is what that means. You should leave. Nina spun around. Min-jun stood in the doorway of the lounge, still wearing the same cold expression from his office. His white shirt had a spatter of blood on the cuff. Not his blood. Don't come near me. She backed away instinctively. Nina. That man was bleeding. There was a gun. Cash that looked like... God. Was that a drug deal? A shakedown? What? His expression went blank. The mask sliding fully into place. You should leave. Answer me. He stepped closer, dangerous now. Not threatening her, but radiating menace like heat.
Yes.
It was business. My business. The business that paid for those shoes you're wearing. She looked down. The custom Nikes. Bought with blood money. The thought made her stomach turn. You're a monster, she whispered. He didn't flinch. I never pretended otherwise. The walks, the talks, the whole you make me feel human speech. Was that all manipulation? Now, he flinched.
No.
Then what are you? Both. His voice cracked slightly, the first sign of emotion. I'm both, Nina. I'm the monster who breaks bones for disrespect. And I'm the man who hasn't slept properly in years because all I see are ghosts. I'm the criminal who orders hits. And I'm the fool who waits at Han River hoping you'll show up. Her eyes stung. That's not good enough. I know. He turned away, shoulders tense. Go home. Driver will take you. Just like that? What do you want me to say? That I'll change. He laughed bitterly. I can't. This is my world. It was before you, and it will be after you. After me? He looked back, something broken in his eyes. When you leave. Because you will. Everyone does. She should leave. Should run. Should block his number and forget Kang Minjun exists. But then she saw them. Pill bottles on his desk, visible through the open door. Prescription sleeping pills. Multiple bottles. She saw his bruised knuckles. The exhaustion carved into his posture. She remembered her cousin Dante. 15 when he joined a gang in Brooklyn. Dead at 22. Not from bullets, from an overdose, alone in an alley, convinced he was too far gone to save. What if I don't want to leave? Minjun went completely still. What if I want to understand? Why? Genuine confusion in his voice. Why would you want to understand this? Because I recognize self-destruction when I see it. She stepped closer. My cousin Dante, he ran with gangs back home. Started at 15. Dead by 22. You know what killed him? Not the violence. The loneliness. The belief that he was already damned, so why try? Minjun listened, frozen. I see that in you, she continued. You've decided you're the monster, so you play the part perfectly. But I don't think that's all you are. Nina. Show me. Show you what? The real you. Not the viper. Not the crime prince. The man who waits at rivers and buys street food and remembers how I take my coffee. He stared at her like she was something impossible. Then, quietly, come with me. His penthouse looked exactly the same as before. Cold. Sterile. Beautiful but empty. I don't have words to explain what I am, he admitted, standing in the middle of the living room like he didn't quite know what to do with her here. Then show me where you live. Really live. Nina walked past him, exploring. The kitchen was pristine, clearly in use despite the high-end appliances. She opened the refrigerator. Champagne, takeout containers from expensive restaurants, nothing personal. No ingredients. No life. You don't cook, she asked. Never learned. Private chef delivers meals. She rolled her eyes. Of course you have a private chef. She opened cabinets, finding basic staples someone had stocked but never used. Rice. Eggs. Vegetables starting to wilt. Well, you're learning tonight. What? We're making fried rice. Korean style. Come here. He approached like she was a wild animal that might bolt. Nina tied her braids up into a high bun, then grabbed one of his hoodies from the back of a chair and pulled it on. It smelled like him, sandalwood and something else, something uniquely Minjun. Chop these. She handed him a knife and vegetables. He took the knife, bemused. I've held knives for very different reasons. Well, tonight we're committing violence against vegetables. Start chopping. For the first time since the office, he smiled. A real smile. They cooked together, and it was normal. Bizarrely, wonderfully normal. Nina bossed him around, smaller pieces, more garlic. For the love of God, that's not how you crack an egg, and he followed instructions with surprising obedience. The great Kang Minjun, taking orders in his own kitchen, she teased. Only from you, he said, and meant it. The kitchen filled with warmth. Sizzling sounds. The smell of sesame oil and soy sauce. Nina added gochugaru for heat, taste tested, nodded approvingly. They sat at his massive dining table that had clearly never been used for actual eating. The fried rice was simple but good. Comfort food. Minjun took a bite and went completely still. What? She asked. No one's ever cooked for me. Not since. He trailed off. Since your mom? He nodded, not looking at her. She reached across the table, took his hand. I'm sorry you lost her. His fingers tightened around hers. I'm sorry you have to see what I became without her. They ate in comfortable silence. She noticed he finished everything, even scraped the bowl clean. You were hungry, she observed. I'm always hungry. He looked at her, eyes dark and intense. Just usually not for food. Heat flared between them, electric and dangerous. But she broke eye contact, not ready for that yet. One step at a time, crime boy. He laughed, genuine unguarded. Yes, ma'am. After dinner, they sat on his couch facing those massive windows. Seoul glittered below them like fallen stars. Nina was exhausted, emotionally drained. Her head dropped onto his shoulder without thinking. He went rigid for a moment, then carefully relaxed. His arm came around her, slow and tentative, like he was afraid she'd pull away. This doesn't mean I forgive you for the job thing, she murmured. I know. And it doesn't mean I'm okay with the violence. I know. But I'm not leaving. Not yet. His breath hitched. Why not? Because I think you need someone who stays. He pulled her closer, face buried in her braids. His voice was rough when he spoke. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But that's not your choice to make. They sat like that until her breathing evened out, until she fell asleep against him. He carried her to the guest bedroom, didn't presume to take her to his own bed, laid her down gently, pulled a blanket over her, watched her sleep for a long moment, whispered in Korean, I'll protect you. Then he went to his own room, left the door open so he could hear if she needed anything. And for the first time in years, calm Min-jun fell asleep without taking a single pill. Just lay there in the darkness, listening to her breathe in the next room. And slept. 1 week became 2. 2 weeks became 3. Nina found herself spending more nights at the penthouse than her own studio. It happened gradually, staying late after dinner, falling asleep during movies, waking up in the guest room with a blanket she didn't remember pulling over herself. He never pushed, never pressured, just existed in the space with her, learning to cook more dishes, teaching her Korean phrases, laughing at her terrible pronunciation. They developed a routine. She'd work at Ninth Circle during the day, transforming the club's image with smart campaigns that attracted international attention. He'd handle his business, the parts she tried not to think too hard about. Evenings, they'd cook together. Nights, they'd talk until she fell asleep. He still hadn't kissed her. Not really. Just her forehead sometimes, her temple, her hand. Like he was afraid one wrong move would shatter whatever fragile thing was building between them. The sexual tension was killing her. But then, on a Tuesday evening 3 weeks after she'd started at Ninth Circle, everything changed. They were at the penthouse, attempting to make kimchi jjigae from scratch. Nina was laughing at Min-jun's concentration face, tongue sticking out slightly as he carefully sliced tofu, when his phone rang. Teo. The ringtone he'd set for urgent business. His expression shifted immediately. He answered in Korean, voice sharp. Nina didn't understand most of it, but she caught his tone darkening with every word. He ended the call, silent. What happened? She asked. We have a problem. He set down the knife carefully. Someone's been selling information to Park Sung-ho. Her stomach dropped. She'd heard that name. The rival gang leader who controlled North Seoul. The one Min-jun had territorial disputes with. What kind of information? Shipment schedules. Meeting locations. Financial accounts. His voice was ice. There's a rat in my organization.
The doorbell rang.
Not the regular doorbell, a specific chime that meant someone with penthouse access. Teo appeared moments later, dragging someone. A young man with his hands zip-tied behind his back.
Ji-hoon.
The tech guy who'd pulled her away from Min-jun's office that first day. Wait, what's happening? Nina stood, alarmed. Min-jun pulled out his tablet, showed her the screen. Bank records. Wire transfers from Ji-hoon's account to a shell company. Dates, amounts, patterns that even she could see were damning. Explain, Min-jun said quietly to Ji-hoon. The quiet was more terrifying than yelling. Ji-hoon broke down immediately, words tumbling out in Korean and broken English. Park Sung-ho's men had threatened his sister, his mother. He had gambling debts they'd offered to clear. He just passed along harmless information. He didn't know it would lead to an ambush. He didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. Please, he begged, using the term for older brother.
Please.
Nina saw Minjun's hand shake slightly, the only tell of emotion. Then his phone rang again. He glanced at the screen and his jaw tightened. Father. He put it on speaker.
Why?
To make a point? To show her his reality? His father's voice filled the penthouse.
Cold.
Authoritative. He spoke in Korean first, then switched to English for her benefit. Nina realized with a chill. Kill him. Tonight. In front of your men. Show there's no mercy for traitors. Ji-hoon whimpered. This is a test, Min-jun, his father continued. You want to lead the family? Prove you have the stomach for it. Kill him. Or I will kill him, and you both. The line went dead. Silence crashed through the penthouse. Teo waited for orders, expression neutral. Ji-hoon was crying quietly. Nina stood frozen, heart hammering. Min-jun walked to the windows, staring out at the city. His reflection showed a man torn apart. He betrayed me, Min-jun said finally, voice hollow. The penalty for betrayal is death. It's always been death. He was threatened. Nina found her voice. His family. Everyone has family. He spun on her, eyes blazing. Everyone has excuses. If I show mercy, I look weak. If I look weak, 10 more people will betray me thinking they'll survive too. So, you just kill your friend? Your brother? He stopped being my brother when he sold me out. But his voice cracked. She heard it. The fracture in his certainty. Is this who you want to be? She asked softly. It doesn't matter who I want to be. It matters who I have to be. Says who? Your father? The same man who taught you emotions are weakness. He didn't answer. Min-jun, look at me.
He did.
His eyes were glassy, with unshed tears. You told me I make you feel human, she said. So be human. Make the choice a human would make, not the choice a viper would make. And if it destroys everything I've built, then you build something new. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then at Ji-hoon. Then back at her. Finally, cut his ties. Taoa's eyes widened slightly.
Boss. Cut. His.
Ties. Teo obeyed, though his expression showed clear disagreement. Ji-hoon collapsed forward, sobbing harder. Min-jun crouched down to his level. His voice was steady now, decided. You have 24 hours. Take your family and disappear. New names, new city, new lives. I've already set up accounts for you, enough to start over. If I ever see you again, I will kill you. Not because I want to, because I'll have to. Do you understand? Ji-hoon nodded frantically. And Ji-hoon? Min-jun's voice softened just slightly. I hope you build a good life. A clean life. The kind we dreamed about as kids. Teo escorted Ji-hoon out. The moment the door closed, Min-jun stood in the middle of his penthouse, shaking. I just signed my own death warrant, he said quietly. My father will never forgive this. Nina went to him, wrapped her arms around him from behind. Then we deal with that together. You shouldn't have to deal with any of this. Too late. I'm here. He turned in her arms, pulled her close and broke. His face buried in her shoulder, his whole body shaking with sobs he'd held back for 12 years. She held him through it, stroking his hair, whispering reassurances, being the steady thing he'd never had. When he finally lifted his head, his eyes were red but clear. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For showing me I could choose differently. She cupped his face. That's what love does. His breath caught. Love. She froze, realizing what she'd said. But she didn't take it back. Yeah, she said softly.
Love.
Surprise. He kissed her then. Finally.
Properly.
His lips captured hers with desperate tenderness, like she was air and he'd been drowning. She kissed him back just as fiercely, arms winding around his neck, pouring everything into it, all her fear and hope and trust. When they broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. He whispered, I love you too. She didn't need translation.
They should have known peace wouldn't last.
That same night, around 11 p.m., they were in his bedroom. Not doing anything, just existing. She'd convinced him to try to rest after the emotional devastation of the Ji-hoon situation. The bed was massive, and she lay on top of the covers fully clothed while he lay beside her, also fully dressed. A careful distance between them.
Talk to me, she said. About anything.
Just distract yourself. So he talked. About childhood dreams of being an architect. About Sujin's upcoming graduation. About random Seoul history facts. His voice got heavier, sleepier. She thought he'd finally dozed off. She started to get up, to use the bathroom. The windows exploded. Glass erupted inward like 1,000 knives. Gunfire shattered the silence. Bullets tore through the bedroom walls, ripping through expensive art and furniture. Nina screamed. Min-jun moved on pure instinct. He tackled her off the bed, his body covering hers completely as they hit the floor. The impact knocked the air from her lungs. More gunfire. Multiple shooters. His penthouse was under full assault. She couldn't breathe.
Couldn't see.
Could only feel his weight crushing her protectively, his heart hammering against her back. Stay down, he growled. Outside the bedroom, she heard his guards returning fire. Shouting in Korean. More gunshots. Breaking glass. A bullet punched through the wall inches from her head. She squeezed her eyes shut, fingers digging into his arms, certain they were about to die. Then, a brief lull in the shooting. We need to move, Min-jun said urgently. Panic room. Now. He started to rise, to pull her up. That's when Nina saw it. A red laser. Tracking across the debris.
Searching.
It landed on his chest. Right over his heart. Time slowed to a crawl. Sniper. Outside. Through the blown-out windows. Clear shot. Min-jun's back was to it.
He didn't see. The dot steadied.
Centered. Nina didn't think. She shoved him hard. No. The rifle cracked. White-hot pain exploded across her left shoulder. The bullet meant for his heart tore through her instead. She screamed. Fell forward. Blood bloomed across her shirt. Nina. Min-jun's voice shattered. His eyes went absolutely feral. He caught her before she hit the ground, dragged her into the bathroom, kicked the door shut. More gunfire outside. His men eliminating the sniper. He was on his phone, barking orders. Clear the building.
Now.
Then his attention was entirely on her. One hand pressed cloth, a towel, against her shoulder. The pressure made her cry out. Why did you do that? His voice was destroyed. Why? You. She was crying, shock setting in. Laser, on your chest. I don't care. You could have died. So could you. My life isn't worth yours. Yes, it is. She grabbed his collar with her good hand, pulled him close despite the pain screaming through her. It is Min-jun. Silence. Just their ragged breathing. Taoa's voice came through the door.
Boss. Clear.
Medic on the way. Min-jun didn't respond. Just stared at her. At the blood soaking through the towel. At her face, pale with shock and pain. You took a bullet for me, he whispered. Course I did. Her Brooklyn accent was thick through the pain. You're worth saving. I've killed people, Nina. I've destroyed lives. I don't deserve. Shut up. She yanked him closer, ignoring how the movement made her vision swim. You deserve love. You deserve someone who chooses you. And I'm choosing you, whether you like it or not. His face crumpled. I can't lose you, he choked out. I can't. You won't. She touched his face with bloody fingers. I'm right here. Why? His voice broke completely. Why would you love someone like me? Because you're you. Not the Viper. Not the crime prince. Not the scary reputation. She smiled through her tears. Just Min-jun. The man who waits at rivers. Who learns to cook. Who cries for his dead mother. Who chose mercy over murder tonight. That's the man I love. He went completely still. Say it again, he whispered. I love you. Tears streamed down her face. I love you, Kang Min-jun. And you love me back.
So don't you dare die on me.
And don't you dare let me die either. The door burst open. A man in a doctor's coat, Min-jun's private physician, always on call, rushed in with a medical bag. Gunshot wound, left shoulder, Minjun said, voice steadying into command mode even as his hand shook holding hers. Through and through? The doctor examined quickly.
Yes.
Missed major arteries. She's lucky. But she needs stitches, antibiotics, monitoring for infection. Do it. Here.
Now.
Boss, I should take her to my clinic. Here. The doctor worked quickly. Nina bit back screams as he cleaned and stitched the wound. Minjun held her hand the entire time, wouldn't let go, his other hand stroking her hair. You're doing so good, Jagia, he murmured. So brave. Just a little more. When it was finally done, when she was bandaged and medicated, and the doctor was packing up, Minjun lifted her carefully, carried her to the guest bedroom. His own room was destroyed by bullets. He laid her down like she was made of glass. I'm staying here with you, she said firmly, despite the pain medication making her drowsy. Nina.
With you.
Her tone left no room for argument. He sat on the bed beside her, still holding her hand. I love you, he said clearly. For the first time in English, no hesitation. For the first time in my life, I actually love someone more than I love survival. Took you long enough, crime boy. He laughed, choked and messy. Then he kissed her, gentle, mindful of her injury, but no less intense. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. This was Park Sung-ho. Retaliation. I know. It's not safe anymore. You should go back to New York. Let me handle. Absolutely not. Nina. We do this together. Or not at all. Choose. He stared at her, then nodded slowly. Together. But I'm ending this. Tomorrow. I'm done letting him threaten you. What are you going to do? His eyes went cold in a way that should have frightened her. What I should have done at the warehouse. I'm going to eliminate the threat. Permanently. Normally, this would scare her. But tonight, after taking a bullet, after nearly watching him die, she just squeezed his hand. Then do it fast so I can heal properly, she said. Someone needs to keep you from going full Viper mode. Despite everything, he smiled. You're insane. And you're mine, she said. Forever. He kissed her forehead. Forever, Jagia. 6 weeks passed like a storm clearing. Park Sung-ho was eliminated. The details weren't important, and Nina didn't ask. What mattered was that Minjun came home safely, with Teo and his men, the threat neutralized. Seoul's underworld whispered about the Viper's brutality. But they also whispered about something else. He'd changed. The transformation was visible in everything. His penthouse, once sterile and cold, started looking lived in. Plants appeared on windowsills, Nina's doing, insisting this place needs life. Photos went up on walls. Them at Han River, at Namsan Tower, cooking in the kitchen. The kitchen itself saw constant use now. Minjun had become surprisingly good at cooking, though he still needed her guidance for anything complicated. They'd perfected a fusion dish, jollof rice with gochugaru and sesame oil, that tasted like home and soul mixed together. His demons, the ones that haunted him in darkness, were being faced. The pill bottles disappeared from his nightstand. He slept now, actually slept. Still had nightmares sometimes, but she was there to wake him, to remind him he was safe, to talk about Brooklyn until he drifted off again. The violence hadn't stopped. He was still the head of a criminal empire. But he wasn't doing hands-on killing anymore. He'd stepped back, let Teo handle enforcement while he focused on strategy, on legitimizing parts of the business. I promised I'd try to be better, he told her one night. I'm trying. His men noticed. Teo had actually asked if someone had drugged the boss. Minjun smiled more. Laughed at Nina's terrible jokes. Took meetings at Ninth Circle instead of abandoned warehouses. He was still feared. But differently now. The Viper got smart, people said. Keeps his woman close, his hands cleaner, his enemies guessing. Nina thrived at Ninth Circle. Her campaigns had increased social media engagement by 300%. The club was now featured in international magazines as Seoul's hottest spot. Business partners who used to dismiss her now sought her input. She'd learned conversational Korean, still not fluent, but functional. Minjun helped her practice, patient and encouraging even when she butchered pronunciation. She knew the key players in his world now. Knew which threats were real versus posturing. Knew when to step in with a calming word, and when to let him handle things his way. His men protected her like she was their boss too. Because, in many ways, she was. When she walked into a room, they stood. When she made suggestions, they listened. Teo had started calling her older sister, despite her being younger. A sign of respect in Korean culture. Most surprisingly, she bonded with Soo-jin, Minjun's sister. They met for coffee in Myeongdong, went shopping in Gangnam, had long conversations about everything from K-dramas to systemic racism to what it was like loving a complicated man. "You made my brother human again," Soo-jin said one afternoon over bubble tea. "I didn't think anyone could." "He did most of the work himself," Nina replied. "I just showed him it was possible." Soo-jin taught her about Korean family dynamics, the expectations, the pressure. Nina taught her about Black culture, about Brooklyn, about code switching and survival. They became real sisters. The kind who could call each other at 2 a.m., who shared secrets, who had each other's backs. The only cloud on the horizon was Minjun's father. Kang Dae-young had not met Nina yet. Deliberately. He sent messages through intermediaries. "The foreign woman is a distraction. The empire needs heirs from a proper bloodline. A son of mine does not marry outside his race." Each message made Minjun's jaw tighten. But he ignored them. For the first time in his life, he was choosing himself over his father's expectations. "He'll come around," Nina said, though she didn't quite believe it. "Or he won't. Either way, I'm not going anywhere." "He might try to force the issue," Minjun warned. "My father doesn't accept defiance. Then he's about to learn that I don't accept bullying." She kissed him softly. "We'll handle it together. Like everything else." A Sunday morning. Sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Nina woke slowly, comfortably. No panic this time. No confusion. She was sprawled across Minjun's chest. The same position as that first morning, but everything different now. She was wearing his t-shirt by choice. His arm around her waist was welcome, warm, perfect. She traced his tattoos idly. The dragon, the tiger, the phoenix. She knew the story behind each one now. He was already awake, watching her with soft eyes. "Morning, pretty girl." She grinned against his chest. "Morning, crime boy. Sleep well?" "Like the dead." "Which is ironic considering your profession." He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest. "Dark humor before coffee? I've corrupted you. You've improved me." She lifted her head to look at him properly. "Get it right." He pulled her up until they were face to face, noses almost touching. Kissed her slow and deep, full of lazy Sunday promise. "Move in officially," he said against her lips. "I basically already have. So make it official. Bring your stuff from Hongdae. Clear out your studio.
Stay.
Permanently." She pretended to think about it.
Give
up my tiny studio with the broken heater and shared bathroom for a penthouse with a man who cooks me breakfast and looks like a Calvin Klein model? Tough choice. Is that a yes? That's a hell yes. She kissed him again. "But I'm redecorating. This place needs color. Maybe some throw pillows. Definitely some art that isn't just black and white. Whatever you want." Dangerous words, Minjun. He grinned, wolfish and warm. "You're the only dangerous thing I need." She rolled on top of him, straddling his waist. His hands settled on her hips, familiar and comfortable now. They'd been intimate for a few weeks, careful of her healing shoulder at first, then less careful as the wound closed and she got clearance from the doctor. "So, what's the plan today, Mr. Crime Lord?" she asked. "Thought we'd stay in bed until noon. Order too much food. Watch that American show you like. The Wire? The irony is not lost on me. Then maybe I take you somewhere nice for dinner." "Define nice." "That restaurant you've been wanting to try. The one in Gangnam with the Michelin stars." She raised her eyebrows. "You're really romancing me today. What's the occasion?" He reached for the nightstand drawer. Her heart stopped. He pulled out a small velvet box. "Well," he said, "I was thinking." He opened it. Inside was a ring, simple but stunning. A single diamond, elegant setting, exactly her style. Not ostentatious. Not trying to prove anything. Just perfect. "Marry me." Not a question. A statement. Very him. Her eyes filled with tears. "Minjun, I know it's fast. I know my world is dangerous. I know my father will fight this. I know you deserve someone without blood on his hands. Minjun. But I also know I love you. I know I want you beside me, for every sunrise. I know I'd burn down this entire city before I'd let anything happen to you. And I know that." She kissed him, cutting off his speech. Pulled back, crying and laughing at the same time. "You're doing that thing where you make long speeches again," she said. "Is that a yes?" "That depends. Are you going to keep buying me custom sneakers?" "I'll buy you a whole sneaker company if you want." "Then yes." She laughed through her tears. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. Perfect fit. Of course he'd measured somehow, probably when she was sleeping. Then he flipped them over in one smooth motion, hovering over her, caging her in with his arms. "You're mine now, Jagia. Officially. I was always yours, crime boy." She pulled him down into a kiss. "You just finally caught up." They kissed like they had all the time in the world. Like Seoul wasn't sprawling below them, like his criminal empire didn't exist, like her visa complications and his father's disapproval didn't matter. Just them. Just this. Just love. For the first time in his life, Kang Min-jun wasn't just surviving day by day. He was living. Because Nina hadn't just accepted his darkness. She'd walked into it, taken his hand, and shown him the way out. She'd given him something he'd thought impossible. Healing.
Hope.
Home. And she'd found something she'd stopped believing in: love. Not the fairy tale kind that solves everything with a kiss. The real kind. The kind that survives bullets and betrayal. The kind that chooses you every single day. The kind that says, "Your darkness doesn't scare me. I'll stand in it with you until we find the light." In a city of millions, in a penthouse above the clouds, two broken people proved something important. Love doesn't heal all wounds, but it makes carrying them worthwhile. Hello, beautiful souls. In this story, we discovered that even the darkest hearts can find healing when they're truly loved. That sometimes, the most broken people just need someone brave enough to stand in their darkness until they're ready to find the light. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. Remember, you're never too broken to be loved. You're never too far gone to change. You just need to find the right person willing to see past the scars to the person underneath. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, keep believing in love's power to transform even the most dangerous hearts. This is Mina Korean Stories. I'll see you in my next story.